So yeah, anyway, today we're going to get back onto the questions. We've got 6 of you in the waiting in Zoom. So we're going to start with Miriam Mason. Here we go. I'm admitting her into the Zoom. Hopefully she will appear seamlessly into this conversation, and we won't have the delay and the lag that we've had in the past. Got a feeling we might. It's connecting to audio. Can see something happening. There she is. Oh no, she's not. There she is. Are you there?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to hear your voice.
Can you see me?
No, I can see a picture of you. I can't see your video.
There
you go. Hello.
My pajamas.
What time of day is it? Oh my god, it must be like 4 a.m. or something horrendous.
Exactly.
Why are you awake?
Because it's Imogen Heap.
But Miriam, you should stay asleep. Please don't put notifications up to get up for this. No, please don't. I will return often, and this is what we have to do to kind of. This is what I really didn't want to happen. Actually, is that you guys feel like, oh my god, Imogen, quick! I must stop my sleep and wake up for her. I don't want to become this, this big kind of, I don't know, stake in the ground that's like, Imogen has to stop the day for everyone. I want it to be in the flow. So I want it to feel like when I have a question, you get a little message that says, oh, Imogen's in the chair. If you want to chat now, you can. If you don't, it's fine. Just press snooze, go back to sleep. And then when you're awake, the next time I sit in the chair, you'll get a ticket, and hopefully it'll be a more convenient time. I kind of want it to feel like you would in normal life. You'd just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I could chat to Imogen for 10 minutes now and, have a chat like a friend. Like you wouldn't wake up at 4 a.m. for everyone, I assume. Otherwise you'd never get any sleep.
Actually, I wake up quite often for people in 4 a.m. It's not because I want to, it's because I just wake up at 4 a.m. I wake up at 3 a.m. I wake up at 5 a.m. So it's okay.
Okay.
Feasibly have a chat with you right now.
Okay. All right. But still, that is my plan, so that it becomes less pressured on you and on me. That it just becomes very regular and free and easy, and you take the call if it's convenient for you. That's what I would. Right. That's what I'd like, and that very easily that the system kind of goes, okay, Miriam can't take the call now. She's, gone to number 1 of the queue of the next call, and we'll try again, and to not feel weird if you keep saying no. I won't be offended. It's just like, that's life, isn't it? These logistics of calendar, syncing up calendars is just half of my time. It's just syncing up calendars with people when they can chat. Okay, so Miriam, what is your question?
Well, the question is, I've heard you talk a little bit about how Scout is riding so fast now. When you run with her, you have to run really fast to keep up. Mm-hmm. I want to know the things that aren't development or music that you do that you love, especially like during COVID times, but right now in your life, because I know you change when you become a mother, obviously.
Yeah.
So the things that you like change. And I was just wondering what those things were.
So what were sorry, because I was slightly distracted because the listening chair app has disappeared off my screen. So I was wondering how I'm going to press record. Hopefully Justin is around to put it to the top right of my screen so I can press record on my answer, because at the moment it's taking up the whole entire screen. There we go. Wonderful. So the question was, what do I do other than running and jogging with Scout at this time for fun? Is that the question? Okay. I have to think about that because there's not a lot of time. Most of it involves what Scout wants to do. And I keep saying we must find things together that we can do that is not just about what Scout wants to do. Because actually she's not awake, for that long outside of school. So that you kind of feel like, well, there's not that much time to do anything. Let me think. We're about to go into 6 weeks of a holiday, so we'll be back as it was, where we are. I'm just going to mute this video because it's distracting me. Oh, no, it's fine. How do I turn this screen off? I'm just going to turn that off a bit. Okay, what is the answer? It's so hard. My brain is like, I don't know what I do with Scout, but I'm with her all the time and I do things with her. What do we do? Okay, I'll tell you what. Something that I like doing at the moment is, I know what I'm going to say. Okay, I'm just waiting for my Bluetooth wristband or my armband to connect to my chair so we can get my heart rate monitor. Okay, here we go. What I enjoy doing with Scout in my spare time at the moment, as of July 2020, is we have a very long, extremely long piece of paper that folds together like a book, and it's really thick. It's got about 50 pages in it, and it's got front and back, and it's open space. And I've discovered that Scout loves drawing when she's drawing with me. That she likes, like in everything that she does, she enjoys doing it with somebody else. And so, unless she's playing Lego, in which case you can leave her for about an hour and she'll just be like, doopy-doo. But with the painting thing, yeah, so we've started to just draw together this enormously long story, not really a story, but just a huge picture that just goes on. And it's been in a playground, there's been a tightrope, and there's a little pool with a statue. And then there was an amazing little kind of wooden house with a deck that went out onto it, and a bird and a waterfall. And this is a really great, beautiful thing. So with that, we have these nice conversations and we talk about maybe what we'd like to do in the future, or that something reminds us of the past. So right now, what we're doing is collaboratively doing a lot of kind of storytelling, drawing and colouring together. That's what we do. That's what we're doing right now.
I'm seeing a delay here, so I was just waiting for you to finish with the delay.
Oh, sorry. Damn delay. We really thought we'd got to the bottom of it, actually, but it seems like we haven't. Oh.
Your sound is not broken, the face is frozen. Oh, there you go.
It's weird. I wonder if it's when I record, when I press record. Am I now back in sync?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to test something, because maybe this is what it is. Okay, I'm going to press record, and you tell me if when it goes out of sync. So I'm talking now. Tell me when I go out of sync. Have I gone out of sync yet?
You're out of sync.
Okay, and tell me when I come back into sync. Am I back into sync?
Yes.
Okay, Justin, that is what's happening. And when I press record on the listening chair, everything goes funny. So there's something to do with the processing, maybe, of the camera and the audio that basically pushes preference to the chair that it records, but that Zoom is get secondary something. I don't know. Anyway, he can think about that, because that's his job. I'm just going to try and connect my heart monitor, which is not now connecting. Perhaps I have no heartbeat left. There we go. It's connecting. Is it connecting?
For vampire.
Yeah. Live forever. Just have to eat a few people along the way. So yeah, that was a nice question. I think the thing is that you find something, don't you? And that's your thing for a few months. And then you find another thing. And I like that. And I hope one day that thing will be making songs together or doing something musical together. Because there's just... What's that?
You probably will. She just needs to be a little bit older.
Yeah.
Developmentally. And then she'll want to start doing things that you're doing, emulating you.
Yeah, well, maybe I don't want that to happen. But I'm really liking this one right now, and it feels like maybe that's just what she needs right now, is this kind of together, accompanying kind of creative thought and drawing together and painting colours and trying to start into using different mediums as well, because it's just such a busy, full life that we have. We're like going between here and there in the studio, and then there's school, and then there's trying to cook, and there's so little time at the end of the day to really focus. That's what I've really liked about not having school for a while, actually, was just all of a sudden there was time to learn to ride a bike, or all of a sudden, there was just time to discover each other and notice that we're looking into each other's eyes a bit more. Because sometimes you go through a whole day and you realise, you know what, I haven't even looked into her eyes until she's gone to sleep, or just about to go to sleep, because you're just all distracted doing things all the time, not really working, just doing the washing and the cooking and the all that stuff. There's just so little time to really connect. I think we need to kind of get back a bit more to that community living, that, you know, in lots of little houses with the kids in the middle, you know, and the parents kind of chatting to each other. It's just hard to do that in cities. You all live in our separate little worlds, and, you know, you get these snatches of time maybe in the playground, but, you know, something about this kind of tribal early life that maybe we once lived on the African plains that we're missing. Don't know how to bring that into life.
It's village.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the village community. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for that question. Thank you for that thought. And I hope you get back to sleep.
Absolutely well.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking me first. I appreciate that.
Pleasure. Lovely to see you. Have a good sleep. Have sweet dreams. Bye.
Bye.
Right. Now I need to move from the chair. Remove. Okay, bye-bye. Okay. So, who is next in the chair? We've got Kelly DeVeet McKee. Admit. So this is good to know. So when I click record on the answer, it's going to go a bit funny, basically. So it's good that we've figured that out now. Because we don't really... Oh. Oh, there we go. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's pretty good.
Thank you for your help the other day in the reminder.
But you told us to remind you.
And you did.
So.
Thank you. Very kind.
Yeah.
Yes. I had to keep it in the right tempo, otherwise it was all going to go wrong. And yeah. So, what are you up to today, Kelly?
Today I have a whole bunch of Zoom meetings, but I get to start with you, so it's obviously the best Zoom meeting of the day.
It's all downhill from here. All downhill. You can tell your next person. I was just having a Zoom chat with Imogen Heap just now, and they're like, Imogen who?
Which makes my heart so sad.
No, it's just,
everyone should know about you.
It's good. It's good. No, I'm very happy. Very happy. So tell me, Kelly, what's your question today?
So my question, with a bit of context, is that in the live streams you're always talking. You're like, oh, I fell back into the same note that I always play in, and I was wondering what is your least favorite kind of notes to play in, and what don't you like to do?
Yeah.
So maybe we can push you to play in those notes more.
Okay. The ones that I feel least comfortable with playing because I don't feel I know the keys so well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe both of what's the least comfortable and what is your least favorite in general.
Yeah. Okay, let me just think about that, because I'm just thinking about how to... Okay, here we go. When I am playing and improvising on the piano... Oh, wait. So I just clicked stop record because I wanted to remind you that when I answer... So we've now discovered that when I answer the question, Zoom goes funny. So when I press record in my listening day, so you probably won't be able to... It'll be a bit weird hearing the answer, but we're going to figure that out for the next one. So you might have to check back on the stream later if it doesn't come across. But when I come off record, then it should go back into sync. Okay, I'm going to answer.
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. So when I am playing the piano and improvising, I often fall into the same modes of kind of key and flow across the notes. And I know that if I rehearsed more, if I improvised more and pushed myself and kind of studied harmony, I would feel much less inclined to fall into those patterns. I suppose I fall into patterns because they're the easy patterns. But they are also my character. They're also, that kind of, is it called a diminished fifth? I like that distance, and I like playing between major and minor, and I like the Aeolian mode, and I usually play around C, because when you're a kid that's where you start, and so it's always the easiest, at least for me. I like F sharp. I like playing around the black notes, but there's a kind of C Aeolian going into kind of F sharp major, going down into D sharp or C sharp major, and then playing around the majors and minors around there. That's kind of where I always seem to fall into. Very rarely go into like B, because it's just one down from C, and it's as different as you can get from kind of where you were. So I suppose one day I hope that when I'm a bit older, I will have so much more time on my hands, and then I will like get into the focus of really getting to grips with harmony and doing things that are a bit more interesting. Because I do feel like I'm repeating myself quite a lot on these streams. But in that repetition, as I said, that is also that is my style. You know, that's what I've ended up doing. That's those kinds of harmonies, those kinds of progressions of, you know, like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, just kind of going up and down and going 1, 4, 5, and it's like pop kind of usual chords. But that's these improvisations are about finding something that's easy and nice and kind of feels quite natural, and then the songwriting bit is where you try and push yourself and you delve deeper into it, and you then you bring in your thought, the thought side. So that usually comes later. So say with Little Bird, for example, that was, I was like consciously wanting to try some really new chords, and I worked really hard on that and kind of spent a lot of time, and then I wrote the lyric and the melody afterwards. Just a different approach to songwriting, I suppose. But I worry that people who are listening to the streams get bored of the same type of thing. But the only way to get around that is to practice a lot more and to feel comfortable in naturally going into other melodies and modes. That was a long answer.
Well, I that makes.
Oh, you've gone quiet. Are you there?
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I'm there.
Oh yeah. So I've stopped recording now, so it should be like in sync.
Great. Yes, the video is still a little off. It's actually frozen, but I can hear you in time.
Okay. Sorry.
So thank you for that answer.
Okay. Thanks for that question.
I personally think, and I think the Discord community will agree, that I don't think it ever sounds repetitive. It's always just different and awesome and original, and I never get bored with it. So you can keep playing that forever. I would never care.
That's good.
It would be great.
That's great. Well, last week. Oh, go on. But what?
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say that trying to figure out a way to do the Kate Bush one without, because I thought I was going to have to play the piano and then I was going to try and loop like a 4-bar loop, but then in the end I didn't. I just kind of fumbled around and tried to find the record and then didn't. But in that loop channel, I kind of put this really nice chorusy effect. It was a bit loud for the vocals, but it was that effect that with the buzzing, the flying ants, the flants, that inspired that kind of like Doppler effect, singing along, meow, that created that really nice little idea. And I think people liked that because if it was just my plain voice and it didn't have the effects on it, it wouldn't be so inviting, but it kind of gave it a lot more depth and it had a really nice stereo effect on it. So a lot of the time it's how far do you yeah, it was really cool, wasn't it? And it's like, but how far do you go in the production? How far do you go to prepare the streams to have these different production tools at hand? There's a kind of line, isn't there, of like, okay, this is improvisation and piano with a little bit of extra glove for reverb, but then it's like, but I could just add in that thing, and then I could add in that thing, and then before you know it, you've kind of created this monster of, automated things that you can do. So yeah, don't really. I'm kind of
when you're thinking too much, sometimes you can't get into that same flow.
Yeah.
So pre-planning too much is just going to make you feel, more nervous, and that's when you don't get the really cool stuff. You get the cool stuff when you relax.
Yeah. It's about it. It is. But it's also like I'm very relaxed with the reverbs and the looping and stuff with my hands. But if I could just I need to figure out the logic of when I'm sitting at the piano, because I never really developed my stuff for sitting at the piano. I've mainly just done it for when I'm moving around in front of the stage. But now I'm sitting at the piano every week. I have to think about, well, how could I do it so that it's easier in the flow, so that I could have access to a few little tools. Or I was thinking, Alexi won't like this, but to set up the piano bar, which is this MIDI infrared kind of device that you lay on top of the keys, and then it detects when your acoustic piano notes go down, so that then you can layer on sound. So, for instance, my friend Jordan Reedes, he just sent me this link to this thing called, what was it called? Elysian or something, some plugin that it kind of orchestrates what you're playing. So it sounded a little bit like maybe that's not my kind of style, but I haven't yet tweaked it. So I'm wondering whether there's something in that to, again, just give a bit more volume and a bit more depth to the sound that might encourage different ideas. Because it was that buzzy Doppler effect in itself that kind of was the idea, and then the songwriting thing would happen later. So anyway, it's good. I really love these weeks because every week is different, and every week I learn something new. And I do think that there's something about this time and seeding ideas for a potential album or new songs, that when I have the time to create the songs, which might be when Scout goes back to school, but that this period in lockdown together, we are witnessing together and experiencing together the birth of those ideas. I just think that's so exciting, because I've never done that, and that it's really, really from right at the core beginnings, that we all there together, and then they flourish into these songs after. So yeah, it's a lovely thing to have come out of it.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yay! Right, well, thank you, Kelly. Lovely to chat to you. Catch you maybe next Tuesday.
You too. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
Yes, and yourself. Good luck with the rest of your Zooms. And
I will be diligent and just need to go get some coffee.
Yeah, get coffee. I've had my coffee, lots of coffee. All right, have a lovely day. See you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Right. We've got Fernando. Admit. My tummy's rumbling. I'm just going to get some almonds. Hello, Fernando. Fernando? Are you there? Can you hear me? I can see that you're in the call, and I can't hear you. Maybe you can't hear me. Are you there? Hello? Fernando? Fernando? Ah! There you are.
Hello.
Hello.
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Sorry. Why is this happening? It was not happening before. I think we need to go back to Chrome. We're using it in Firefox. Anyway, you can't see me, but you can hear me.
Hi. Yeah, I can't hear you. I can't see you.
You can't see me. Okay.
That's fine.
Sorry.
Don't worry.
I don't know why. Anyway, I can see you and you look wonderful. Beaming, shining, healthy.
Oh, there you are. I can see you now.
Okay. Weird.
Oh, well.
Oh well. So, Fernando, how are you doing?
Good. I don't know. This is so strange, but yeah, it's good.
Yes.
It's a bit cold here.
Cold. Where are you?
I'm in Argentina.
Wow. You're in Argentina.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Don't cry for me. Whereabouts in Argentina are you?
I'm in a city called Rosario.
Where in Argentina is that? And the long whereabouts? I'm gonna look it up.
It's in a city called Rosario.
Rosario. Rosario in Argentina. Rosario. I'm gonna look you up.
Yes.
See where you are. Oh, you're right at the bottom. Are you? No. Where are you? Oh no, you're kind of in the middle, southeast, northeast.
It's north of Buenos Aires.
Yeah, yeah.
Like what? 350 kilometers or something.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So close enough.
Okay,
Close
and
enough.
it's cold there.
Well, it's winter, so.
But it's not really
not
winter, is
terribly
it?
cold.
Not that
Yeah,
cold.
it's not Norway cold, but
No.
it's chilly.
Okay. You have to wear a scarf instead of
Yeah.
a full-on, like, massive woolly suit that we have to wear when we go outside in the winter. So, Fernando, tell me, what's your question?
Right. Okay. So I have two. They're very small anyway. So my question is, what do you feel your biggest artistic asset appeal is? Like, music production, lyrics, improv, performances.
Okay. Wow. All right. Okay. Is this purely musical? Or is it?
Whatever. You know.
I don't. You've just asked me. I've never thought about it. What my asset in terms of my creative,
like artistic,
yeah,
creative.
Artistic asset. Personally, my own artistic. Okay. Okay. Well. Okay. The asset that I feel is my most prized creative asset that I can offer up to the world at the moment, as of July 2020, is sharing the moment of, creation, the being in the flow of music. I don't know what the answer is. I'm going to stop that. Because I do feel like right now we are discovering something that I've never discovered before. Like in these last few years, I was just talking to Kelly about it. That there's this, kind of magic space in the moment of an idea happening. And usually that would be a very kind of private moment of like, oh, I really like that. Oh, something exciting. And then you kind of carry on and maybe you go and finish a song. But to have that and share that moment with others watching is just something I never thought of. And I just never thought of doing it before. And I just enjoy it so much that we kind of together somehow know that is the thing, that's the good bit. We all know it. It's not just me kind of going, oh, I like that bit. Maybe that's, I think we all just know it. And it's really a really precious thing that has happened in this last couple of months. And I absolutely love it. And I don't know what to do. I do kind of know what to do with it, but you guys are helping me because you're like affirming, yes, that bit was really good, or that bit, because music, as Guy, kind of taught me, it's one thing when you're in your studio and you're just kind of noodling forever and ever and you're trying to decide whether something's good or not, or someone's going to ever like it. But to have that affirmation right at the start, like right at the first moment, is just so incredibly valuable. As a creator, just like, it's good, move on, that it's just, you have this energy that's not just your own, your own bits of your brain going, oh yes, I think that's good, you should go with that. But that somehow you just know it because there's more people listening and you just somehow feel it even stronger. It's like when I'm in the studio and, I'm often working on my own. So I'm like, I think this is good, but I don't know. And I like bring down Jason, who like helps out in the garden. I'll be like, Jason, do you want to come and have a listen? And he'll be like, oh yeah, okay. So he comes and has a listen, and then we listen to the mix together. And I'm not really there to, I do appreciate his opinion. It's more about what I feel when he's in the room. I feel like strong sensations of that bit's great, that bit's not great. Much clearer headed when there's somebody else in the room. And it might be what they're feeling, or it might just be that I'm able to kind of get closer to how I really feel and get rid of all the layers of noise when I'm sitting on my own, overthinking things. So there's something about that now that I have in the improvisation with you guys that I so value when I bring a stranger into the studio, that I just never thought I would have at that early inception of songwriting, and it's happened time and time again. Like, I feel like there's at least 5 ideas in there that we could, expand into songs, and that's just a really awesome way to make a record. So going back to my question, I don't know how to formulate that into an answer, but maybe I have to think about that later. But essentially, I'm going to click record because I just want to remind myself when I go back to edit. There's something that I've discovered in this last few months around that connection across, that I don't want to get spiritual about it because I don't understand it, but there's definitely something that happens when you're watching. I don't know if it's quantum, I don't know what it is, but that I feel affirmed or clearer about my own intuition, or I'm able to take my intuition more seriously when there's others watching. It's like we all feel it together, and I don't know how it happens, but it's definitely happening. I'm not just imagining it. So at the moment, that's what I feel like my biggest asset is.
Yes, I agree, because it's been magic.
Yeah, cool.
But so does this have anything to do with, because this is kind of linked into something else that I wanted to know, and many of us do, I think. Like, you've always been very private about your demos and old songs and music from the past, when you were younger and a different person, and also a bit like, oh, this is rubbish, oh, this is that, oh,
yeah,
and you're like kind of self-conscious about sharing that, but you are, and that's been unbelievable. That's been like incredible.
Yeah.
And why now? What changed? Because in the past, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think what's changed about feeling like I want to share older stuff and feeling less worried about it and less embarrassed about it. I mean, I am still a bit embarrassed about it. I think it's actually that. No, but the thing is, you have to put it into context of time and the understanding that, that was when I was 15, or that was when I hadn't yet worked with Guy, or that's when I was in this frame of mind, or whatever. I feel like they need to have, because they were never chosen to go into an album for a reason. And that reason is usually, I didn't think it was good enough, or my heart wasn't in it at the time, or whatever it might have been. And so there's a good reason why they're not up as a part of an album. And I feel like the difference now is that there's been such a big gap between when I've released stuff and been in the studio and been quite precious about things as to now, because basically when I gave birth to Scout, everything kind of went a bit crazy, and I wasn't able to, and I wasn't aware, I hadn't thought about that in advance. Wow, I'm not going to be able to get into the studio and do things in the way that I had. I can't be precious. I can't be as precious. So I think it's about distance, time and distance. Just gone, it's okay. Just doesn't matter. Put them out. What's it going to do? What's it going to harm if I do?
That we're liking it so much, that we're enjoying it so much, and many people, us all,
yeah,
asking for more. Like, you can never have enough of you. Is it making you feel better about, is it helping you put that in context and say, like, well, when I wrote Aliens, I was a child.
Yeah,
a child,
yeah, I was, yeah.
I was thinking about, spaceships and aliens and UFOs and stuff. And that's fine, because that is the normal thing to think when you are 16 or 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it helping you in a way?
I think what's helping me is doing it in a controlled environment, because I couldn't put them up on YouTube. It just wouldn't. It's kind of asking for criticism and attack from people who are just passing by, and they're just somebody who just want to have a little jab at somebody. Yeah. There's a lot of those people, and it just takes one comment like that on a song for me to go, oh my God, I never want to do that again, because I just get so affected by it. But having it in an environment where I know I can trust the relationship between us, and it's just completely different. That's why. I'd happily share ideas and demos with the iBabble board many years ago, And even with the YouTube making ofs, it was different because I was choosing and I was on a journey towards something that I would be happy with. But old demos that have been discarded, are different. I suppose, I want people to know me. I want to be accepted. And there is something about kind of sharing your secrets. They're not secrets, but
all that music made you who you are right now.
Yeah.
So it is part of you, and we love you as you are, and for all you've been and what you've done, and how you are, and what you do, and how you connect, and that is just amazing.
Yeah.
So thanks so much.
No, my pleasure. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and there are absolutely tons of them, but they're the ones that are slightly less awful. That I
There's not one awful one.
There are.
You, go ask in Discord. We're all nuts about them.
Yeah. Well, they definitely are not album-worthy songs, but it is really fun to share, and there is something freeing about just letting it go and just going, what does it really matter? I think also over the years, as well, having a kid, just nothing matters as much as it ever did. That's why when actually Scout is in the room, when Scout's in the room and I'm improvising, or where she's backstage at a concert, I'm just more relaxed because I'm like, but nothing matters as much as this relationship with my daughter. This is so important to me, and it's just number one. And before, music was number one, and it still is very up there. And I do kind of so often wrestle with this, want to do more music, want to be music Imogen, want to be mummy Imogen. And I still haven't found that perfect balance, but I'm getting there. So I think that's also what it is. It's just like, I've given birth to something. I've been like in... the people in that room saw me in a way that I never want anyone else to see me. And you just worry less about things. So there we go. But I'm really glad you're enjoying them. And I will put some more up after today. I'll go in and having heard you say that.
We're loving them.
Okay. I really hope they don't get out though, because I will have to deal with the embarrassment with the people who don't know in context of why, as well.
You shouldn't really care, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think we're a tight bunch here.
Yeah, I think it's one step at a time. I mean, maybe in 3 years' time or 6 months' time, I'll be like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's out there, what the hell. The confidence is more in myself, and the belief in myself is strong right now. And the more that I create now, also the stronger my confidence gets. So I really need to get, like I had a little flurry, didn't I, of kind of giving you 750 volts DC and giving you the party, the dance piano thing, and but it has just been so hard to try and find like 3 or 4 hours to do that again. But I think with different way of doing the listening chair and trying to find a bit more help with Scout and being at the house more now she's away from school, I will. But I think I'm going to actually get to make music probably in September when she goes back to school. But I'll do what I can in between for my sanity.
Anyway, I'm going to let you go because you probably have so many people on the line and I want to keep them.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for everything you do.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for the music.
Thank you, Fernando.
For the connection and for being back. And
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be me. That's how I feel. Okay. All right. Speak to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Oh, from Argentina. Oh, I've got to go visit my sister's stones. Some stones, a cairn the group of cyclists put up there. I want to go and visit them with my mum one day. Right, we've had Fernanda. Oh, we've got a Fernanda now. A Fernanda Genevieve, maybe. Let's see. Fernando. Here she comes. I think.
Hi.
Hello. Aha, how are you? Recognise you, yes. How are you doing?
Good, and you?
Yes, very good. What's that in your... It looks like you're shrouded by a halo. in behind you. It looks like there's a halo of light. Can you see? You've got a very nice chair. What is that? Oh, it's a window.
Thank you very much.
Is that just a window?
I don't know because that's a false background.
Oh, I should have known that. Yeah, that's very nice. I know you look like you've got a halo. So Fernando, hello again. What is your question
Hi,
today? Yeah, I'm doing good.
What was the inspiration behind You Know Where to Find Me?
Oh, okay. Let me just close this. Okay. So I'm just going to let you know this now, that if you want to know the full story, you can go into the app, and they've got making of Sparks, and it shares the story of the making of that song in detail with video and pictures and interviews, and so. But I'll tell you now, so that we can add it to the app. But you can go and have a look. It's really great, really nice story. So, You Know Where to Find Me was originally a commission by a company called Art Angel, who commission artwork in and around the UK. And Michael Morris wanted me to write or create a piece of art in a boat that was called A View of... Well, I can't remember what it's called. I'll try and find out and type that in later. Anyway, it's basically a boat that was not a real boat, but looked very nice and was designed very beautifully. And it was sat on top of a building called the Queen Elizabeth Hall, so you had the perfect bird's eye view of that bit of the River Thames. And I was in there for 24 hours and I had to write a song while I was there. And I've always wanted to write a song from the perspective of the River Thames, of what it feels like to be the River Thames, what it feels like to be a body of water, a body that lots of emotions and ideas and history and inventions and everything and rubbish gets thrown into you. And I thought about that as a person. What does it feel like to be the receiving end of a lot of different conflicting emotions, and trying to be very zen about it and accepting. But ultimately, everybody has their breaking point, even a river. And I wondered what that might be. So, yeah, the song is about, you know where to find me on your way out. You know, basically, if you've had enough of life, I'll be here to accept you and help you drown. You know where to find me on your way. Yeah, that I can't remember I can't remember the lyrics now, but imagine that you're speaking from a river's perspective and it will make sense.
This is amazing, because let me try to explain the importance of this song
to
me.
Yeah.
And bear with me because it's a complex feeling. I'll try to explain.
Yeah.
You know that nostalgic feeling we have about specific places or situations, like a lazy sunny day.
Yeah.
And there are colors that go with that feeling, and smells and music. Like if you listen to Summertime by Ella Fitzgerald or Sunny Afternoon by the Kings, it all connects to that nostalgia. And one of those nostalgias is very important to me, which is the ocean. I've always longed for the ocean. Since I was a kid, I felt this way. Like, I can't really explain. Maybe it's because for the ocean, nothing really matters, and that's reassuring. And, you know, there's colors and smells and sounds connected to it, but I could never pinpoint a song. It was such a large sensation for me that no song was up to it. There was sound, there was music, but not organized into a song until You Know Where to Find Me.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And I didn't realize that right away. It took me years to understand that unresolved subconscious feeling. And I remember when it clicked, we were driving by the ocean and that song started playing. And it was the missing piece of the puzzle. And I realized that part of my life was complete. It might sound silly, but for me, there was always something missing. That part was incomplete. It got to a point where I went and worked on a cruise ship, and I lived on the ocean for a whole year, and I crossed the Atlantic 5 whole days with nothing but water surrounding me. And that was awesome, of course, but it was nothing compared to what I felt when it all clicked with your music, with your song. And that's the importance of it. Your music is that powerful, and I'm a super skeptical and very pragmatic person. So for me, all of this is crazy that the way you organize sound makes sense to my soul. And you're telling me that the sound is in fact about water?
Yeah.
I might take the day off to process. So, yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, that's so lovely to hear, Fernanda. Thank you for that. That's amazing. Oh, I love hearing how the songs connect. Can I ask, what were you doing by the ocean at that point, that kind of you were ready to receive that connection?
I don't know, because we were just driving. We were on vacation, me and my husband. We were in the car, and then I almost started crying, and he asked if I was okay, and I was like, I am super happy. I don't know why. Oh. And I was just in silence, sitting and driving by the ocean. That was it. Oh, lovely. Oh, thanks, Fernanda. I'm starting to well up because I've just realised that. Oh, dear me. I don't know if I can talk about it. Sorry, I'm glad this one's not public. I'm fine. I'm just kind of... Because that song's about the river. To me, it's about the Thames. Which is where, my sister and I had such a lovely time together. And I hadn't clicked at all before now. I don't know why. But yeah, actually, that song is... I'm going to have to listen to it again. But Me too.
Because in many ways I was kind of, I hadn't been there and had someone to mourn when I wrote that song, but I do now, and I have done already. I've just cried, so many times on the bridge for Juliet. But yeah, it's just now that song has got like a... Yeah, it's like it's kind of another real experience, but it's gone into the past of the written, and I don't know. Anyway, just a wave then. They come and go. But yeah, it's good to think of it like that. But now I'm going to struggle singing it live now that I've made that connection. I don't know why it took me so long to make that connection.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a nice one.
You. Yeah, I think I kind of feel what you're feeling right now. So
Thank you. Thank you for
that song.
Yeah, I love it too. It's a lovely song. Okay. Goodbye, Fernanda. I'll catch you another time. Thanks for that. Have a great day off.
If you have
a day off.
Thank you. Bye.
See you. Oh dear. Right, wait a minute. Da-da-da. Have I got waterproof mascara on today? Yes, I do. That's good, isn't it? Woo! Yeah, I'd never ever thought about that. Never thought about that. We are going to have a time at some point. We discussed it as a family to have a point where we, get her ashes and find a way to have a memorial around the Thames somehow. Have a physical place somehow that we can visit. Yeah, because the Thames is synonymous with Jules. It's just, lived there and did so much work around there, and we had so many nice times. One of the last places, in fact, the last place I saw her was... No, it wasn't. Was it? No, that wasn't the last place I saw her. The last place I saw her was at the Roundhouse, Camden. I can't remember now. It's all gone fuzzy in my mind. Must have been, because it was very soon after that. Anyway, right. Let's go into Noah. Got 5 people waiting. Now, I do absolutely have to be out of this chair in an hour because I've got to go pick up Scout, and it's a bit of a drive. So, Noah Bigsby. I don't think I've spoken to Noah before. We'll find out when I see this person's face. Da-da-da. Is Noah there? Is he there? You there? Can you hear me? Noah?
Hi.
Hi, yes, hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. I've had a bit of an emotional moment, but I'm doing okay. I'm glad to have them. How are you doing?
Well, it's very foggy here up in Nebraska, so
oh wow,
and I
Nebraska.
love it.
Lovely. Beautiful.
And I really haven't got that much sleep. I only got like 2 hours of sleep, but I woke up extra early just to talk to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right, did you hear the bit when I was talking to Miriam to say that we're going to try and make it so you don't have to lose sleep for these calls? We'll make them much more fluid into your day. But thank you for waking up early. I appreciate it. So what is your question, Noah? What's your question?
So a couple weeks ago, I recently graduated.
Congratulations.
I'm an 18-year-old. And I've been, over the last couple of weeks, I've just been very confused on what I wanted to do with my life, like going forward.
Yeah.
And I'm still confused if I wanted to go like into college or like more schooling.
Yeah.
And I've been very like interested in going into like psychology and mental health counseling. And also like working in the music production area. And I apologize if this question sounds very cliche.
It's okay.
But do you have like any advice for like newly graduates who are going into or like interested going into music production?
Have you just come out of a college, a kind of school where you've been learning about music production, or not?
No, I haven't.
It's just kind of in your own time, you produce music and you work with other people to kind of produce music, or what's the situation?
You know, I'm just been very interested in like working with other people to work on different kinds of music with other producers.
Yeah.
And I've been interested in doing like mixing and like being an audio technician.
Yeah.
And also being like a music producer. But I really haven't like looked up that much about it. So.
But have you been practicing or kind of developing, you know, growing your tool set?
I usually produce my own stuff on like Logic Pro and GarageBand and all that.
Yeah.
Shizzle dizzle.
Mm-hmm.
It's very free.
Yeah.
I mean, I get to do my own stuff and
yeah.
I love it.
And what did you study at college or school then?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What did you study at school?
In high school, I just did general studies.
I see.
Basically just like history and science and all that stuff.
Oh, I see. Right.
And I've also been in like choir and stuff like that. So
okay. So music is part of your. It's kind of part of your day to day.
Yeah. So like, I didn't really have like that much like. I didn't really have like a lot of classes that really took on the music production area.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, not kind of fully understanding how, like, you know, the extent to how much you're producing or how much you've practiced or engineered or what kind of tool set you have or the knowledge you have about it. But I would say in general, if you can't do anything else and you're like, this is the thing that I really want to throw myself into, like I can't imagine my life without being involved in the music creation in some way, then you should absolutely just continue as you are. Just carry on creating, whether or not you go to college and do that or not. But if it gives you a lot of joy and you know, you feel like it's part of who you are, whether you do it professionally or not, it's a different matter. And just continue, you know, because professionally it is quite unlikely that you'll make a living as it stands now, purely doing music. I mean, even I don't make a living purely doing music. I have to do, you know, I have to do other people's work. Like if somebody wants a commission or something, you know, it's still music, but essentially my own music doesn't fund my life. I have to work with others and with companies and, you know, do conferences, do whatever I can to kind of extend the reach of that. But I also have a lot of outgoings because I have a lot of projects that I want to pay for, like the Creative Passport and in the past the gloves. So I guess my short answer is, you have to do what is uniquely who you are. If you're having to kind of conjure up something, like trying to fit into something, then that kind of feels a bit unnatural. But at the same time, when you're 18, how could you possibly know what you want to do? I just think it's awful that people after school have to have this big, massive question. Right, now you have to decide what you want to do and what you're going to study, because that's what you're going to be in the future. Because, probably 90% of people study something at college and then they have nothing to do with that in their career. They end up, like Mike, Scout's dad, he kind of studied biology at university, but, he did 3 years of biology, and he got a degree, but he doesn't do it. He will use it in any way in his life now. So would he have been better discovering, film and doing directing for 3 years before that? But, it's a big jump, isn't it? Because then you kind of have to do a job in that, because nobody supports you in an apprenticeship of music making. So then you'd have to go to a college. It is difficult. It is difficult. There's no easy answer, I'm afraid. There's no method. You just have to be as true to your wants and desires as you can, but also with a touch of realism, that it is hard to make a living in music, and I wouldn't recommend putting all of your eggs in that basket unless you were absolutely like, I am really good, like I'm really, really good, I'm a cut above, and this is I just know it, and so I'm just going to do that. And there's not many people that can say that. Unless if people around you are going, do you know what, Noah, you've really got something, you should just do that. And if it's not like that, and it's something that you really enjoy, and it gives you joy, and you enjoy it, it could be a part of your life. I don't know. I hope that's not like sad advice or good advice. It's just, I wouldn't recommend putting all your eggs into the basket unless yourself, you were convinced that this is, and other people around you were like, no, you've really got something there, you should just do that and don't bother with college, because you could learn more being out there in the field, in studios, engineering, songwriting. It is really hard to know where to go to make decisions. I've spread my net very wide. Kind of my interests, everything that I do in my career is all around quickly being able to kind of maneuver, go, I'm interested in blockchain. And then, because that's where my passion is and my interest is, and it's always connected to music, it just worked out. Oddly, it was the thing that funded me for a few years to do these conferences and to develop this Creative Passport, which I think is so necessary. That actually, it, in a way, by getting a job with IBM that was connected to the blockchain stuff, got me enough money to see me through lockdown. But if it wasn't for my interest in blockchain, maybe I would never have got that kind of commission from that kind of company. So you just can't guess. You can't predict at all. There's no easy path. It's just, if you feel it literally in your bones and it would just kill you to kind of not do it, then just do it. But do that about anything. If that's socializing, if that's helping people, you're interested in psychology and, mental health. I mean, that's huge. I appreciate so much the people that do that, because I have used their services quite a few times. So, if that's also something that you are really passionate about, and they go very well together as well, that creative outlet that you have with music could very well be the foundations of your immense success in, in working in mental health, because it balances you. It creates an outlet for you. Or it could be the other way around. It could be the stories you hear in your mental health sessions that generate great songs. Who knows? But I think having that, if they're the two things that you express when you describe what you want to do, then it feels like and you already know that, I don't think you should choose. Just see what happens, but just do both. And eventually one will tug harder than the other, whether it's money or passion. Yeah, I don't know. No, it's not very good.
Excited what the future has to offer.
What's that?
I'm just very excited of like what the future has to offer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like really good to get like advice from a professional artist. I think that's just really cool.
Oh, well, don't take any of my advice, please.
Yes.
I watched something last night. I don't know how I ended up on it, but it was something about Jim Carrey. I don't know why I ended up watching it, but he was saying about asking the universe. Like, I've heard other people talk about this, where they like put it out there to the universe. So he wrote himself a $10 million check for 5 years to himself, and he's like basically manifested that in 5 years' time he ended up getting into he did Dumb and Dumber. He was a stand-up comedian before that, and it manifested, and that's what he's brought to. Anyway, I really liked what he had to say, and I kind of looked through loads of other kind of. He did a great inspirational like graduation speech. You should look it up. I mean, we're not all comedians, but what he said about life and the relationship between what you do and as an artist, I was like, wow, that's really awesome what he said. So I would just go and look at that, go on the trail, because he knows what he's talking about. He's really good at articulating it as well, and he's also kind of not struggling, but this kind of, who are you publicly, who are you privately, and whether you buffer that public person up to the point where you never are that private person, and you hold that up till the day you die, till you're in the coffin. That's the person people know, and that's the person, and you've kind of suppressed this other thing. And I feel that what I have been so lucky to do in my career is never have to be separate, that I'm not like this person when I'm private and this person when I'm public. More and more, even now in the listening chair, I'm like just myself. And that is just so lovely. So whatever it is that you do, just be as yourself as you can, because there's no one else but you to do that. That's your one and only job, is to just be you. But it is hard to know what that is sometimes, how you want to be you. So I think something about projecting and manifesting, there's something in that. Yeah. Anyway, good luck. Yeah. And enjoy.
Thank you so much for answering my question. It's really lovely.
My pleasure. Thank you for the lovely question. All right. I'll leave you for now.
I gotta go get some more coffee from you.
Yeah, coffee's. Everybody needs coffee at the moment. All right. Take care now. Bye. Have a lovely day.
Right.
See you.
You too.
Right. Now, Billsy. We've still got 4 to go, and I've still got 50 minutes. It's all good. Let's get Billsy on the line. I wonder what Bill is going to talk about. Bill is the one who wrote Shadows Dance. I covered. Hello? Are you there? Hello, Bill. How's it going in your pile of music and media?
Great. I'm not seeing you, but
sorry.
Morning, Dr. Heap.
Morning. It takes a while, sorry, but eventually you will. It seems to be a thing that happens. Noah couldn't see me, and then he saw me after about a minute. Maybe you'll see me in about a minute too. Meantime, I'll eat some almonds.
There you are.
There I am. Hello.
First of all, good morning, Dr. Heap.
Good morning. Must be early. It's very early for you. Goodness.
Yes, I almost missed it. Thank you so much for everything, but especially this listening chair session is brilliant.
Oh, thanks, Bill.
And it brings up a very important point even before I get to my question.
Yeah.
Well, many things. It's cathartic. It has been as cathartic for me to hear about Jules and obviously reminding me of my own losses.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But, okay, before I get off track here, it's very, very important that you consider this as a suggestion.
Okay.
I hope that you'll consider taking an interview with another composer or musician of high caliber for the reason of giving to posterity, as it were, some of the brilliant things that you've been revealing even in this listening chair session.
Mm-hmm.
So that I actually think it could be something of financial interest to you also, because you could put on a master training session, if you will, based on that kind of information.
You mean for other artists, like a masterclass?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have been approached in the past. It just feels an impossibly large task. But I would like to do that. It's just I really need some help doing that.
Which is why the interview would be so perfect for setting up that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? You already have another musician there or composer to bounce the ideas off of, in a sense, just through the interview process, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Can you recommend any good ones that you've seen that I could have a look at?
Well, I mean, I've been digging very deeply this last year since I finally have broadened into a lot of other places and situations on YouTube, for example, just to kind of see their process. Rick Beato has got a brilliant channel about music theory. There are composers like David Bruce.
Yeah.
I'd also recommend, but those are more YouTube creations rather than necessarily a master class. But you can kind of get the gist of how they put together a presentation about music. Watching a few of their videos. So
I just wonder if, because it sounds like they're very. This is what's kind of. I've yet to figure out exactly what I would give a masterclass in, because I'm not somebody who could give a masterclass in production or engineering, or because I'm not a master. I'm somebody who goes in and just kind of. No, I'm really not. And I can see you waving your finger, but I'm literally not the person. I'm not that person who knows. This is embarrassing, but this is true. I have a really amazing mixing desk over there. A Neve. I can't even remember what it is now.
5088.
Yes, thank you. 5088. A Neve signature 5088. And I have no idea how to use it. I haven't even plugged it in. It is plugged in, but I don't even know how it's plumbed in. I have this idea of what I want to be able to do, but I can't. Not because I could do it. I could do it. I could spend a week and just really get to grips with the signal flow and all the nice sounds, but I haven't done it yet. So I don't feel like it could be there because I don't know my mic patterns and I don't know all of that. I mean, I kind of do. So I don't think it can be that. But what you just said about, being in the listening chair, about maybe more kind of broader wellness headspace type of stuff, how do you write a piece of music? Not like get out your chord charts, and it's not like that. But for some people it is. That is the way they write music. It's more technical, and more theory based. But it's all feeling for me.
Aesthetic process, though, is incredibly important to reveal, and it's not taught. See, so that's part of what I guess I'm trying to offer.
Yeah.
You have an artist who is very advanced, have features that you could reveal that are really not expressed in theory, and in fact, that's part of my question. My original question to you for the listening chair session here.
Yeah.
I mean, you're brilliant, okay? And I've been a musician most of my life. I've studied the best. I've been bored by the best, from Jaco Pastorius and Miles Davis. But you're really onto a new territory with your music and presentation. So those are features that I think you would be incredibly powerful revealing.
Yeah.
Even if it were not part of a regular curriculum. So that's a masterclass, in my opinion, from you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The thing, I really like the idea, and I do think you're onto something. The thing which I'm really not good at is planning. I'm terrible at planning. I'm terrible at writing speeches. I'm terrible at doing anything that involves any premeditated stuff. But I'm really good at in the moment, and I love being in the moment. And when I've got stuff and I've got time and I'm in the flow, I'm just so happy, and there it is. But it's that kind of, so even setting up a masterclass means I have to sit down, I have to figure it out. And I've done that so few times in my life. So that's maybe where I need the help.
All right. Well, anyway, if I could just interject there.
Yeah.
Start with this session of the listening chair.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, like I say, you've already had some brilliant answers and brilliant questions from some very, very astute people.
Yeah.
As a basis, and really, whether you know it or not, there's some incredibly profound musical things that have come out of this. Let me just quickly add one last thing before my question, because I know we got other people waiting. So you mentioned before about improvisation as an example, and I have had this as a conviction as a musician. I'm also very strong in improvisation. That's actually what I've been doing almost entirely in the last 8 years since I've been building my studio.
Right.
But the point is, there's a moment in improvisation, and it especially is felt in a group improvisational setting, that I can only describe as dropping into the central groove. It's a moment where everyone in the room, but especially the musicians, are communicating to each other almost subliminally or subconsciously.
Yeah.
But furthermore, the music actually is sort of driving them as much as they are making the music.
Yeah.
So if you've ever experienced that, that's something that's not even discussed in music theory.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know it exists.
Yeah, for sure it does, yeah. Yes, it does. Yeah, I mean, I remember my earliest memories of that feeling was, I'll just record this actually. The earliest memories I have of the sinking of kind of minds and the feeling of the groove, the flow in improvisation with another, was when I was 15 and I was at the Brit School and I met this drummer, I think his name was Neil, and it was just the most mind-blowing thing because I might have got hairs on my arms just thinking about it because I was literally like, what is this? What is this? I was just playing the piano, he was playing the drums, and we were just this feeling of incredible connection and like you were being pulled along by the music, and just going into a completely like no space and time thing. You're being carried away on a journey with this collective experience, and it was really transformational. Actually, I didn't even really know him. Like, I can't even tell you what he looked. I think he had long hair. We didn't really talk outside of it. We didn't hang out or anything. I just remember being in that with that, and it was a completely different thing. We didn't hang out. We didn't really go to the pub. He just kind of turned up one day in the piano when I was playing the piano, and then he's got on the drums and I don't even know his name. But we did it quite a lot of times. It was just like this secret, not a secret, but it was just this unspoken connection that we wouldn't have known how to describe. And I didn't even talk to him about it, but I absolutely felt it. Yeah. It's cool. It was good. I would like to find out who that person is. Maybe he can be part of the masterclass. Because then he could tell me from his perspective how he experienced it.
Wow. Yes. No, that's brilliant. And one of the other things I'll just say about the central groove that I've observed, there are times that are so solid with the group effort. And I don't think, by the way, it just happens in music, because I'm also an event carpenter.
Mm.
And I've noticed times when the group of us are so in the flow that we can't make a mistake.
Yeah.
And that's also true in music. You could literally try to make a mistake when you're in the central groove, and it doesn't work out that way. It always ends up working out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, so let me get on to my question, because this is beautiful. I'd love to do this for hours, but really I want to make sure everyone else has got a chance to talk about it. So my question, number 222, if you need it.
Oh yeah, I haven't been doing that, but yeah, I do.
Easy enough to remember. Had to do with timbre. Okay, now timbre, as an attribute for those who are not sure, it's kind of the tonal quality, which can include the harmonics, the spectrum of the sound, but also it can include things like the envelope, like the loudness of each of the individual partials of the sound. But beyond that, it's not very well understood in music theory at all right now. It actually is requiring neuroscience to fill in the gaps a bit. So it's very, very new what we know about it at all. Except we've known about it subconsciously for centuries.
Yeah.
But my question was to you, how did you first develop a sense of timbre and the meaning that it has for you, given, of course, that we don't have a collective knowledge of it that's very deep. And if you can describe also how it changed for you over the years, particularly through your albums. Going back through your latest stuff, I wanted to just observe the first recording that I'm aware of that you presented any of that timbral knowledge was in the recording for Miel, I think is how it's pronounced, M-I-E-L.
Miel, yeah.
So, Miel, okay, all right.
That's
so
right.
A very early piece, though, right?
Yeah.
That was around the iMegaphone era, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. Okay. Interesting question. Like it. So answer to 222. Yeah, question of timbre. Where did I first feel an understanding of timbre or was aware of it in music? I suppose I had a keyboard quite early on, called an Ensoniq TS12, which I still have. And I bought that when I was around 16, 17, I think. And it was in that I could see you could, change waveform shapes and you could do the envelopes with it and you could layer things on top of one another as you played one key. So I suppose in terms of, I can shape this myself. I can change the texture of this sound by twiddling some knobs and moving some things about on a screen was with that keyboard. But where I realised I could do it with sound was probably in an orchestra. Understanding that an orchestra can play a note and you can have, one tiny little violin, or you could have that same note played by a huge orchestra or a combination of flutes and alto flutes and whatever, and the rise and fall of that. So I suppose from very young, I did study orchestral music, and I was aware of the different parts of the orchestra by playing some of them, by playing the cello and the clarinet. So that kind of the feeling of going into a note and coming out of a note, being very aware of that. It's different with the piano because it's like on off, but with a clarinet, when the note becomes not breath and when it comes out is very defined by you, the player. So yeah, I suppose it's a slow kind of emerging of understanding about timbre. But when I became, it would make sense around Miel because it was an instrumental piece. So as a result of that, I only had to focus on the instruments and I wasn't focused on the voice. And so my pure attention had to go into all aspects of the music and making that as interesting and tantalizing as I could with whatever tools I had, which was probably an Ensoniq TS12, and that was about it. I can't remember now. Is it the one with the piano? Has it got like a piano loopy thing?
Well, that's the interesting part. It's actually combinational timbres.
Yeah.
That's part of the fascinating thing is that and a few of your other pieces that are extended like that show a level of sophistication and exploration of timbre that is very different than the norm. There are very few artists in pop anyway that are exploring this very deeply. So you're kind of, whether you know it or not, you're kind of a part of a rare thread that's only been around maybe 40 or 50 years, starting with Sgt. Pepper's and George Martin's, wonderful production on that for the Beatles.
Thank you. I feel.
And then evolving through Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush and a few other artists in there that were really focusing on the studio as an expressive instrument unto itself.
Yeah. I think I was listening to something that Brian Eno said when he was talking about the music that he liked to listen to and the music that he appreciated. And I'm really not going to explain this very well, but it was something like, I don't know how to describe it. What I got from what he said, was actually, I think a lot of the reason why I like layering, and that I go into those kind of details, is actually out of the opposite of what you think. I think that it's because I'm kind of trying to hide things that I don't like in the existing sound. So I'm trying to like layer it up so it gets to a point of where I'm like, oh, that works, because I don't have the studio knowledge about how to make something out of just one, particular sound. I don't know how to get into the details of those sounds so much. I don't know my analog synth very well, for example, or I don't know the ins and outs of a particular VST to get that timbre of a violin. So I have to use something else of a cello to try and get what I need. So in a way, it's a mistake. Not a mistake, but it's out of not being very well educated in how to do things conventionally correctly, that has led me to layering and trying to get what I can by putting one thing on top of another. But what Brian said was around complexity of, I don't want to misquote him, and I'm not even going to quote him. I'm just going to kind of say what I thought he said, which is that it's something about simplicity and less is more. Yeah. And I still haven't really learned that. I'm trying to learn less is more, but more often than not, I'm just going more is more, because I don't have time to figure out how to do less. It's harder. But with hide and seek, I did it, less was more. And I've done it with Little Bird, and I've done it with a few other songs where I've managed to do something very simple. And with the moment I said it as well. But most other times it's kind of just very heavily layered because I don't know how to go back or to make it simpler.
Well, let me point out just a couple of other moments in your songs that actually show deep timbral knowledge that maybe you're not as aware of. Showing irony or comedy in any art form is one of the most difficult things, and you've done it several times in your pieces off of Ellipse, as an example. Bad Body Double. There's a moment where you actually do a concealed scream is the only way I can put it, where you close your mouth and kind of sing through a closed mouth. Yes,
yeah.
You know the piece, right? In that place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually an element of timbre that you're utilizing for not only a comic effect, but obviously as a point of contrast to all the other stuff going on around it. So
yeah.
I think you have more subconsciously going on that's astute that way than perhaps you're confessing to yourself.
Oh, thanks, Bill. You always make me feel good when I talk to you. Tell me all these nice things about myself. Oh.
Well, anyway, I guess that basically does it. To wrap up the question, just consider, how your sense of timbre evolves from album to album as well. That would be the one thing for the future might be useful.
Yeah.
as an extended conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to discovering where these ideas are going. I do think there's something about, I do want to make more of the one bass line or the one drum sound or the one, I want to make those work and be really exciting and tantalizing to listen to, but without having 100 track, or 200 tracks to do a job. But that does take time in crafting more kind of simpler, deeper lines, using kind of getting to the point better, I suppose. So in some ways it's kind of limiting myself also because of time. I do need to limit the mix.
So I've got just a really quick suggestion here, and please feel free to toss it away if you need to.
Yeah.
I actually think that you would be well served at this point in your career to consider a type of collaboration that involves improvisation as the primary starting point, because improvisation is very generative, and I think it's going to be simpler and quicker for you to develop albums, for example, based on those that you can simply filter down rather than having to do a completely generative process like some of the other works that you've done. So it's a weird contrast to your earlier part of your career, but
yeah, I do understand, and I do think actually that what Endless has done has made me feel like there's something in that improvisational space with sounds that I like. It's the early, I don't think it's quite there yet, not kind of giving bad review or anything of Endless because it's amazing, but just that workflow, but kind of somehow tuned in more into the studio vibe, less on the app, but he is integrating it into the DAW. I've always wanted to do that. I just felt like the technology wasn't really there yet. I don't want it to just sound like a kind of improvised, layered, half out of tune vocals with some piano beginnings of a record. But to take that idea of what's happening in those Tuesdays and put that more into sounds that, and kind of something coming from that space. But it is, the tools really aren't there yet, I don't feel. There's so much preparatory work that would have to go into preparing the space for the improvisation that could then emerge into something that you would have as the beginning of a track, that you might as well, at the moment, do it the old-fashioned way. Because, again, for the preparatory work that you'd have to do to set the scene so that every song didn't sound the same.
Right. Well, I guess the other thing is, the old-fashioned way, in my experience, was literally getting together with other musicians in the same room and doing what I'm fond of calling Taksim Americana. Sorry, it's just a bizarre title I had to give to it, which is a free-form improvisation that is completely without expectation, but in a group setting, so that you actually have feedback between the different members generating it. And I'd love to share some sound files of things that were completely spontaneous that actually ended up sounding composed. Anyway, we could have a huge conversation about all these.
Yeah, I do. I'd love to. I haven't actually listened to it yet, but Steve Jones, who was on tour with us, he's created an album out of jamming with people that he's met on Endless. I haven't yet had a listen, but kind of knowing what he does musically and knowing what Endless does from that, I could kind of get a sense of what was created and whether it sounds like an Endless album, which I'm not sure if I'm ready to go down that route. But there's something about, that kind of, because again, kind of jamming with musicians in a room, it has a certain sound that you could then, take that bass line and put it into a synth, or, take that drum loop that drummer was drumming around with and then put that into a different type of sound. But then it's also, I don't have a problem with the generation of ideas. It's the actual going in and then kind of honing into, finding the time to hone that into a thing. But I would like to explore that. I think it's also, there's still something in me that, because my time is so limited, I feel like I must protect myself, and I must do it all myself, because otherwise I'll never know what I'm capable of. But there's also the other side of me who's like, but I'm always better when I collaborate. So I'm not always better, but a lot of the time, always good things come out of collaborations. Always. And I did want to do a collaborative album this year. So yeah, but it's good to mull over different things that will emerge. But there's definitely something that's emerging in these Tuesdays, that's for sure. Definitely. Maybe it's even like sending those ideas to people. Like, I was listening to iTunes the other day, coming home from in the car, and I was listening to Jackson. The things that came on were Jackson and his Computer Band, Goetic, John Hopkins, Mikachu. Who else came on that was really great? Cornelius. I hadn't heard Cornelius for so long, and I was like, oh, I used to love Cornelius. So I was like, maybe there's something in that. I wanted to do a collaborative album. Maybe I could like send the pieces that people are into, have a little fiddle around with them for a bit, and then send them to some of these guys and go, come back at me with something like a musical tag, and see where they go. Anyway, it's all forming, and we're all experiencing the forming of something. But this is also how things form, isn't it? Conversations, ideas, and see what sticks. And things may stick in 10 years, or they might stick this month. We shall find out. But yeah, thank you so much. Really good. Lovely to chat to you as always, Bill. Thank you. Have a lovely rest of your day, which is probably very long now. See you.
All right, take care.
See you later. Okay. Stuart Henderson. Right. Let's do this. Stuart Henderson. Dum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum. This has become less kind of about populating Augmented Imogen and more about populating Imogen with ideas. But that's okay. Occasionally we'll send stuff into Augmented Imogen, because I do have another idea which I spoke about at the beginning of this, which is to see if you guys who know a lot about me and who would like to know certain things for the Augmented Imogen to be able to answer, that you might already have those questions and answers, for you to help me populate her, and that actually this space becomes this kind of chatting ideas space that occasionally sends stuff to AImogen, but there's really a kind of self-exploration. That's what this is. You're kind of prodding me into exploring new ideas, and it's great. Okay, let's chat to where's Stuart? Are you there?
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Cool, how are you?
Very good. Nice to speak to you.
Good. I was getting really nostalgic the other day. I was watching the making of Lifeline.
Oh, yeah.
And got right before the end, and I was like, that's me, because I was at the party.
Oh,
like, years ago.
hello.
Like,
oh, yeah, that's right. Stuart Henderson. I remember seeing you in the... So what did you say? What was the sound that you sent in?
It was, I am Bassy flute thing.
Oh, your flute thing?
Yeah, Bassy C-sharp flute thing or something.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, cool. So you're in the middle section?
Yeah, it's the second verse. And I was listening actually to the Harry Potter soundtrack.
Yeah.
The one that's adapted from life. And I was like, is that my sample?
And is it? Oh, you disappeared.
I can't quite tell because it's a little bit different. But I was like, am I in the Harry Potter soundtrack?
You might be. How do you feel about that?
That's amazing. I mean, the idea that, like, wow, I've been on the West End.
Yeah, because I did wonder about that. Because there are sounds in there that you guys generated that ended up on the record, and we'd agreed that it was okay to go on the record. And I think
the thing that we signed said, like, it literally does. It's your sound now.
Okay.
I can't quite remember because I've lost the
I think it must have been, because otherwise I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it. But I just wondered, like.
I'm with it.
No, I'm really glad. But I just kind of wonder if there's anyone out there who's like, had I known that it was going to be played every night in Broadway and extra, maybe I might not have done that.
I think they'll be thrilled, I think.
They'll stand up in the middle of the play going, I made that sound.
That was a very strange time, like nearly 10 years ago now. Just like having you and Tim Exile and Kelly Snook and all these people, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So good. So thank you for being part of that. Thank you for helping me write that song. So Stuart,
anyway, yes.
What's your question?
Around the time of Sparks getting released, there was some talk about stems being released and for purchase.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if we'll ever be able to buy them, or indeed from many of your other albums as well.
Suppose so. I mean, I don't see any reason why not. I suppose the only reason that, because somebody asked me the other day on Discord, how this is the only thing that stops me, I think, when I get to the nub of it. Somebody asked me on Discord, I submitted some lyrics as part of the super chat thing the other day, and she sang them, and I would like to put that into a song. How would I feel about that? And I'm like, I'm not sure, because on one side, I would never let anything out go with my vocals on it that I hadn't produced and was absolutely 100% happy with. But I also don't have time to go and record an officially recorded version for this person, because also I don't know what the music is. I might not like it. And even though I'm generally, like 99.9% of the time, very happy for other people to remix stuff and for it to be clear that it's a remix and that I didn't have a kind of creative input into that. So in some senses, I would be very happy for this person to do that. But how would that be represented? That's the thing. It's again, the context around it. If people go onto YouTube and it's like Imogen Heap's new song with this, or me and Imogen Heap together, and everyone's like, oh, who's that guy? Or why? I wonder why she's chosen to make a record with them. Or I'm not sure about her direction, or whatever. Or maybe I shouldn't care. Maybe I'm just like, well, that's their fault for having, I don't know. So I haven't yet decided. One side of me wants to just be really free about it and go, yes, you can use it. It's totally fine. Go for it. But the other side of me, the kind of professional side of me, which once upon a time was signed to a record label and had a manager, would be like, we would never let that happen, because it has to be complete control. And, what will people think? And what if it's a bad track or. But I think in the noise of things, like the incredible noise of amount of music that goes up, nobody would maybe hear about it. And if they did hear about it, then it must mean it's doing something right. Because it's really hard to get noticed doing anything these days. I just basically don't ever bother now. I don't bother sharing. I don't bother paying a marketing person. Just no point. No, they never get the amount of money back that you put in, because there's just such tiny amount of money coming in from the streams and stuff. So I think when it comes to a point where the song, anyone updating a song of any sort, can get pushed into some kind of set of the layer of data where anybody who's been a part of that song could go in and explain the context if they wanted to. So that if, say, this person wrote this song, went up on YouTube, but it had a link to the song identity, and that everybody who contributed to that song in any small or large way could have a way to express something about how they feel about it. So that if somebody listened to it and they're like, oh, that's weird, I don't really know if I like Imogen's new direction, I'm going to ignore her from now on. But that I could have if they wanted to find out whether that is my new direction or whether that's a song from 1995 or whatever, that they could quite easily find out. But at the moment, that's not possible, to have a kind of a place that the song exists in terms of its data, and then the layers of services around it and the contributors to that have a point. But I think it will get there, but not in any time soon. But when it does, I think people will be a lot more open to all kinds of collaborations, because they'll be able to express their connection and their feeling about that work. But maybe I should practice as I preach and kind of say yes to this person, because I want that future to exist. And by saying yes to it now, should anything come up, it's just another example of how I want it to be in the future. Therefore, I'm practicing as if it's going to get there now. So 10 years ahead. Oh yes, I remember that time when I sung that thing with Super Chat and somebody sent me a lyric and that was the story of that. That's fine. It's just that interim period where there might be like a handful of fans who'd be like, I don't know if I like that, or whatever it might be. Or somebody, or that person turns it into like a really full of profanity, it's just like turns into twists it into this like orgy of sound sex, I don't know, or whatever it would be that would like deeply insult. I have no idea why that should be an insult. So, but
so
and
do you
that,
feel it's really the stems from the album?
Oh, sorry, so back to the stems. So the stems again, it comes down to what are people going to do with the stems, and not being able to manage the repercussions of, say, 200 people going, I've written a song with some of your stems, what do you feel about that? And I'm like, I have to pay £300 an hour for a lawyer to deal with every single one of you. Do you know what I mean? Or I come up with some kind of blanket license, but then that might not suit everyone, and then I'd have to still have 300 emails with people. So it's difficult. It's not about it's not really the artistic side of things. It's more the logistics of how to deal with the legalities around it. That's the problem, really. Because
I can imagine it would be difficult to sort of put it out there and sort of open it up to anybody kind of just doing whatever they want with them, unless you have some kind of way of saying, right, these are things you can do, these are the things you can't, like whether you could say like you can use them to kind of play around with, but you can't like put them up as a remix maybe, or you can't like, because there was somebody on the Discord the other day was saying about there was a service a while ago where artists would put the stems up on this website and you would download them in this special format. I think you could only use it with not Cakewalk, what's it called now? Studio One.
Yeah, or so Splice or something.
That software.
Yeah.
So you could only use it with that software, and you couldn't like export it or anything.
Yeah.
Because personally, the reason I want the stems is because I just want to kind of like listen to them and kind of pick through them and go, like, oh, that's what that sound is, or kind of.
Yeah.
It's more like in the way that Bill was talking about, like a masterclass. It's kind of that would be brilliant
to
look at a producer's work and go like, oh, that's what those sounds are, and that's kind of how that bass line kind of leads into that, thing. It's so it's not necessarily for the remix point of view, but I guess that if you do it, it's kind of it does open it up to anybody just doing anything with it. So,
perhaps it could be something like either it's kind of relatively cheap to put them up, so everyone can just kind of have them, and then there's just tons of stuff that might come out, but it's just like, oh, that's because Imogen released her stems, and that's why there's loads of stuff happening. And then you just kind of don't police it. Or you make it really expensive so that only people who absolutely are going to do something with it will use it. And then you're kind of limiting.
It was like you said £50 a song or something, maybe, and I was like, to be fair, I'd pay that.
Yeah. But then it's just, there definitely will be those people who will get to the point, like you're saying, oh, I want to do it because I want to explore it and look through it. But one night you might have just an idea, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to see what happens if I do this thing with Imogen. And then you fall in love with it. And you're like, oh my God, I really want to, oh no, but I'm not allowed to send Imogen an email because that was part of the promise. Because there will be those, and then there will be people who will send emails, and then we won't be able to respond, and then they'll be disappointed. So I don't know. It's just I don't have the team. I don't have the size of the team to deal with the repercussions of putting the stems out. Basically, that's the thing. Because it costs money it just takes time and money to, have people respond. Because I can't respond to them all. I have trouble enough just with my emails from my own family. So, yeah, if we had a bigger team, if we had more income, we could do things like that. But maybe in time it might come. Or we just put a really hard, absolutely nothing can be done with it. But maybe in time we announce, like in a year or something, if you want to, now's the time to get in touch, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe we do that. Halfway house. Put them up for now.
Yeah. I only asked because I was thinking of the Tiny Human stems, because I saw them on the app, and I was thinking, like, oh, that's really cool. You can like hear these, and I think way back when was there like a headlock like stems floating around. I think there was like a remix competition or something maybe. But, and I remember I had them, and I've not got them anymore. I was like, oh, I really wish I still had them because they were really cool.
Yeah. Well, we will think about it. We won't be able to do it anytime soon. because everyone's on furlough.
Oh, no, yeah.
But I would like to do it. I just want to figure out a way, the best way we can. But maybe there's something like, just have to kind of figure out a kind of clever, easy way for people to send stuff in if they do need it, or there's some agreement about cost of lawyers, or if you want to entertain in any way something going up commercially, then you have to at the very first just give me $1,000 just to entertain the idea or something, because then at least we can deal with it. We can put the team onto it, or hire somebody in to come and deal with it, just to do that first engagement, because it just takes time.
I suppose it's a bigger question, but I'm not going to go on about it. But is that something that Creative Passport would work with? Do you know what I mean? If it could kind of all be done automatically, or...
I think what the Creative Passport really is laying the foundation for those kinds of services to come into play by creating standard models of new specific things that artists and fans would like, that don't exist yet, because there's no way to spread that amongst every music maker on the planet. There's no standardized form to do that. So what we create to do that for me is a one-time thing that another artist will have to do if they want to do it again. There's no way to kind of create something that's a standard service that does that and kind of takes off the layer of time to deal. There should, like Splice, have a deal, like you say, where you can go in and you can use the stems, or this other one that you mentioned. But to get it prepared and get it ready and all the legal stuff around that, and they take a huge % as well. In fact, we almost did some stuff with Splice, and then I was like, oh, do you know what? It's just taking too much time and it's going to cost too much money. And they take a big cut. And even though I liked the idea, I just felt like it wasn't exactly what we wanted. And they couldn't get off you couldn't come out of the contract. Or it was a few years or something. Not like to do them down, because they do great stuff, but it just wasn't exactly what we wanted. So it's a kind of, so the Creative Passport is really about creating the foundation so that people can create those exact specific services to live on top of your identity, so that my identity can give permission to a smart contract to do a certain thing, and that you also could have a Creative Passport as a music maker, and we could create an agreement that our identities affirmed was us going into that agreement, but that these little kind of little contracts or little scripts that could make an action happen live as a layer on top of this identity layer that may be blockchain related, or so you can check versioning and all that kind of stuff. But it's a way away, but it does need to happen. Definitely.
Yes, agreed.
So again, maybe we should just do it. We should just start, and everything that we create, maybe you can help me do it. Everything that we create, we kind of document, and we start to create what that fundamental kind of format would be for these kind of flexible licensing, or like a tick and drag, like you can use this song if XYZ for this amount. So you kind of create a form that kind of, you can decide levels of yes and no and time-based things which you can revoke. Again, you could do that with something like blockchain, but you can't otherwise. Yeah. Good food for thought. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So maybe you might see them pop up sooner rather than later. Yeah. Okay. All right, Stu. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Lovely to talk to you too. Thank you very much.
Take
Have a good
care.
day. See you later.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye.
Right, we've still got 3 to go, and I've got 4 minutes. I really, really, really have to go. Like latest 10 past. So I'm going to try and whiz through these questions, but it is hard because they're not always simple answers, are they? That's why they're in the chair. So let's see what Sandra has to say. Are you there, Sandra? Sandra's iPad is connecting to audio. Sandra, are you there? Wow, I've got 568 positive feedbacks received. Thanks, everyone. If I was sitting in a chair that had like some kind of haptic feedback for that, I'd be like feeling so much love right now. But in my brain, I'm converting those numbers into love. Right, Sandra, we have got a little thing doing that. Waiting for you to... I don't know why. What's it doing? It says it's connecting to audio. It might be from my end. Might not be. Do you know what I really need is a wee? So I'm actually going to go and have a wee. And maybe when I come back, Sandra will be there. Sorry, everyone, but nature calls. Back in a moment. Is Sandra here? No, she's still connecting to audio. Okay, maybe we go to somebody else, and if Sandra pops up, we'll check her out. So I'm going to go to Sean Peruka. Sorry, Sean Peruka. Is Sean there? Maybe if Sean has the same problem, then maybe it's me. Sean's also connecting to audio. Sean has a shawl on his head. Oh, whoa. What have I got twice? Are you there?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey!
You are here. I can hear you. Thank you for joining.
You're welcome. I thought I was not going to get in, but this is awesome.
You are, because we can't get Sandra. But if Sandra, if you can hear us and you can speak, do jump in. But let's us talk, Sean, until that happens. So Sean, hello. Where are you in the world?
I'm on the same coast as Bill. I'm in Los Angeles.
Sorry, it's really early. Oh wow. Are you going to go back to sleep after this? No, it's about 8 o'clock. No, 6 o'clock.
It's 6.
Oh my goodness.
So,
nice early start.
I will take a power nap though.
Yes, I recommend. Good.
It's too bad I'm at the end because there's some really awesome things I want to say and ask, but
there'll be another time.
Yes.
Not at 6 in the morning.
Do you actually see me?
No, I can see your picture.
I don't know how to do the video, but I guess next time, So.
Yeah. Sorry.
My question is number 229.
Okay.
And let me see. How do you know when songs become bookends for an album, the beginning and end? I pay attention to the last song of an album. I always wonder why the ending of a song, like Half-Life or The Moment I Said It, and not even just your music, but any album I listen to, I always pay attention to the last song that was picked. I would like to know, what is that gut feeling when you know this is going to be, obviously First Train Home, it has the word first in it, but what in your gut, yeah, I know, clever. Doesn't make sense to have that at the end, but what is that gut feeling that you know this is the wrap up of the album?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first album was this for me set the standard of how to finish a record. It began because it's called Sleep, and it just made sense that at the end of my first album, it should be a lullaby. And because it was piano, it was a solo piano piece. It also kind of stuck out a bit from the rest of the album because it was very produced, as they all are, lots of layers and lots of sounds. Well, there was candlelight and Come Here Boy. So Sean's come in. Oh no, yes. Wait a minute. No, sorry, I didn't mean Sean. I meant the other person. I can see them now. Their video. Anyway, so Sean, but I can see your video now. Hello, Sean. So what I was getting to was so Sleep set the start. And then with Frou, the Dummy Down of Love, again, it's kind of, it has that energy, that kind of, calming energy to end. And it's very down tempo. It's like 54 beats per minute. And it's, again, piano. It kind of was different from the rest of the record. So I just kind of carried on the trend. And with Speak for Yourself, again, the moment I said it, again, it just felt like it's that song. It's the piano song that's going to end the album. And then it just became a bit of a tradition. And then apart from Propeller Seeds ended the last one, which broke the tradition because I don't think I had a piano song. I could have used Half-Life. No, that's a different album.
You noticed that Propeller Seed was a little different compared to the other ones.
Yeah. I wonder why. There isn't. Well, Wait It Out. Yeah, Wait It Out would have been the one, but that's too energetic. And it's not solo piano enough. I think maybe it's to do with the Propeller Seeds felt right because even though it's not piano, but it's a singular idea, singular theme, one sound kind of running through. I mean, Little Bird could have been that in another record, but Propeller Seeds, yeah, just felt, because it's also kind of bringing you. Maybe it's my reasoning was it brings you back into real life because it's got lots of real life binaural kind of recordings of stuff that you might hear, like cutlery and chatting and that kind of thing. So in the past, it's always been, oh, that's the piano song that goes at the end. That was my reasoning. But with Propeller Seeds, it was more continuation of a mood, like quite lilting and again, just a nice feeling to end on, something calm. Yeah. Well, the moment I said it's not calm, but it does say bye, 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 bye at the end of it.
When I first moved to LA, the first time I've ever listened to the moment I said it, it was a rainy day. I was biking down an alleyway, and it was actually my first time ever buying a lottery ticket.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not win.
Surprise, surprise.
But that's just my memory attached to that song. So.
Oh, well, I'm sorry it didn't help you win the lottery. That would have been quite a cool claim to fame. I was listening to the moment I said it, and I won the lottery. Everyone be like, quick, go buy Imogen Heap music.
Listen to this song, and you'll win the lottery.
Exactly. Oh, well, thank you for the question. So I think I will find a succinct way to add that to Augmented Imogen, because you never know, somebody might ask that again.
I'll ask more questions in the future next time. So.
Yeah, sorry. Well, if you send another email, because you've now got the Fresh Desk email, haven't you? So you can send back the email to the email that we sent you about the Zoom. We're trying to find a way to get people who have been in the chair to reply and say, my question was answered. It's a bit annoying for you guys, but until we find an automated solution to this, like that the ticket has been asked, we kind of manually go in and go, I think Imogen did answer that one, and she did answer that one, and that was that person. But we need to find a way to kind of automate that process so we don't have to do that, because if you've done it, you've done it. That should be, it should then go off of our email list. Cheese. So I think, yeah, with this one, if you could just send an email back saying, want to be in the next listing chair with these questions, or she didn't answer these questions, just to keep us on our toes so we don't forget.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll do that. Okay. We'll do that.
Great, thank you. Sorry you're at the end. Maybe next time we'll be at the beginning.
Am I the last person?
No, no, we've got to chat to. Oh, where's she gone? The other person. Oh no, they've disappeared. They were meant to be in here. Oh dear. Maybe she couldn't figure out the mic, or there's a problem with the mic. I've got somebody called MJ to talk to, and then I think I'm done. So, a pleasure. Have a lovely day, a long day. Hope you get a nice nap. And thanks for the question. for now. Okay. He's gone. Okay. Right. So MJ, and I don't know what happened to the lady. Maybe Catty, you could reach out to her and just say sorry, or just find out if it was that her audio wasn't working or why she left, because she'd been waiting for 2 hours. Right, MJ, are you there?
I am here.
Hello.
If you can hear me.
I can hear you very well. I can see
See
you.
me, yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay.
You're speaking into a very fancy microphone.
Another time if there's a time issue.
That's all right. I mean,
I don't mind.
I really, really would like to be absolutely out of this chair in like by 1:15, because then I'm like verging into Scout being the last one being picked up at school territory.
I was at Manchester, Bridgewater.
Oh, right.
Enablers, if you remember. Probably
yes. Not. I remember your face, so I know I've met you before, but I had no idea where it was.
Chair.
Yes. And you've also been in the chair?
No, not this chair.
Oh.
I was in a wheelchair at the time.
Oh, a wheelchair. Sorry. Oh, okay.
Because that narrows it down.
My brain, I'm sorry, is not as good as it should be, but I recognise your face for sure.
Okay.
But it does, I don't associate it with a wheelchair, but I do recognise your face. So tell me.
Okay.
Tell me.
My question was, have you had a long gap without creating and then found it difficult to restart? Basically, I had and then I didn't for a lot of years, and I recently want to try again, but I realise when I go into Pro Tools, it's just like super slow, and I can't remember anything.
Oh, God, yeah.
Singing as well, I have practice.
Yes.
Because I used to have like sensory, well, I still do a bit, but I couldn't play the guitar because it hurt my eyes weirdly, because the high frequency made my eyes hurt.
Oh, right. Is that a synesthetic type thing?
I couldn't look at screens, so obviously I couldn't do production. So.
Is that a synesthetic thing, or what is that? Hypersensitivity to sound?
Yeah, it's kind of just a side effect, but I just got fatigued by everything, including sounds.
Oh, right. Interesting. So, in answer to your question, if I haven't been in the studio for a long time, I am almost paralysed by the kind of beginning of where do I start, how do I plug things in, there is at least an hour of just kind of getting into the groove, and it is actually very exhausting. I would like to be able to get into a groove and go into the studio a little bit every day, which is what I'm working towards, because what has happened over the last 5 years is I haven't done anything for like 6 months. The studio's been completely empty, or if I've been lucky, I've rented it out. And then I am faced with the complete lack of habitual understanding of what goes on in the studio here. And I'm also faced with, I've been conning everyone for my whole life that I can actually do this. How could I possibly do this? How can I possibly write something where I don't even know how to pull up a bass sound? So all of the fears like right there in the front. But then after an hour, or maybe sometimes less, something will come and you'll be like, okay. And you just stop beating yourself down and you find a nice thing. But there is often, a lot of time goes into just getting your bearings, getting your confidence. A lot of that. But actually the one thing that I've found is really, really helpful for that is a kind of midway point, which is endless, or improvising on the piano. It's doing something that's not all or nothing. It's not like don't touch anything for ages and then all of a sudden the studio, it's so big and so much stuff. Do something in between, which is like pick up a guitar or record some sounds walking in the forest or whatever it might be. Just something that's a little something to begin with when you get in the studio, so you're not faced with an entirely blank page, which is often the most debilitating thing. I would say Endless is really being a great help for me to fiddle around with that. And often I come up with really nice little ideas in my solo jams when I've got no pressure and I've kind of only got what's in my vision, which is just this tiny little screen and all I can do. And that is, I find that really enticing and welcoming and warm space to be. And then, you know, I can just plug that into the studio and play it back. And then at least I've got something to start with, because yes, I do get that. I get that all the time. It's horrible. But I have found that things like Endless or doing these improvisations helps it not be about the kind of massive 0 and 1 of on or off. It's like, you know, all the fine numbers in between. Yeah. So that's what I'd recommend.
Okay.
Maybe you already do that.
It's part of like.
So went a bit funny, didn't it?
Got a loop of old audio.
Oh no, sorry. Are you...
Oh, there we go.
There we go. I'm back. Yep. So sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, it was kind of. It's basically that. If I listen to, I've done like other things creatively since. I've tried like a few, you know, just doing some Photoshop things and like clothing design.
All right.
Because the reason I found those easy is because there was no expectation. I know, you know, it was all, I could just, if I don't do it, it's fine. Whereas I feel with music, there's this, you know, I've got examples of how it used to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do that standard.
Yeah, I know that is the worst thing. I totally know. And the biggest killer for creative, like to get going and your confidence, is to listen to anything that's produced and finished. If you're in that little headspace, once you're in the flow of things, it's great to listen to music and be like, oh yeah, could I see how they did that, and maybe you want to do that. But yeah, listening to past works and be like, putting that against you're putting that bar right at the first, you know, time when you get back in the studio and you have nothing. And I actually never start with, I never go into an old session and be like, oh, I'll just take that drum loop, or I'll just take that bass sound, or I never ever do that. I always start from scratch, which is really stupid because it'd be much quicker just to like have a set thing to do, but I never do that. So it's always like you're relearning everything from scratch. But as a result, you do stuff that's different every time, and you don't, you know, not every song does sound the same. Yeah, so yeah, it's a tough one. But I definitely don't listen to your past works and be like, how could I do that ever again? Because you will. It's just the worst place to start.
That's what I find. It's just like, just comparison to it.
Yeah, don't compare ever. Don't compare.
That puts me off doing it at all.
Don't compare anything in life. Your house, your clothes, your love life. It just always leads to unhappiness and dissatisfaction. Even comparing your moment now to where you want to be in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's just, I'm trying to learn so much to just be present and just appreciate this moment. And with that, see what comes, and not be comparing, or I wish it could be like this, or, you know, because that's the switch to unhappiness or discontentedness. Yeah. Anyway, maybe
I'd ask somebody that's probably, well, obviously you felt you're doing new things, you must overcome it. So I just thought I'd ask somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, or doesn't, you know. Quite often. Great. Well, I like that question. Thank you very much. And don't put too much pressure on yourself. 208. Okay, 208. I will. Well, let me just record something. Oh, I did record something. I did it. Yeah, but it was 208. Anyway, we'll get that later. Great. Right, MJ. Do I call you MJ or do I call you?
It's Martin.
Martin. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Martin. Well, lovely to chat to you, Martin. Have a lovely day. Maybe you'll make something. And don't worry if it's not as good as anything. Just make a thing. And then put it away. If you want. All right. Have a lovely day. Take care. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Bye.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm really sorry to the lady, or I couldn't really see actually because I was looking and chatting to Sean, but I would like to apologise to that person who was really near the end and then was probably waiting and hopefully maybe didn't wake up at 4 a.m. to do it, and then sorry. Anyway, I hope I'll chat to you first next time, whenever, and we'll make sure that it's a time that will work for you. Right, I've got to whiz off now, go catch my daughter. We're going to have pizza in the park because it's her last day of school, her last day of first year of school. A big day, and I want to be there with the parents and celebrate with her. Okay, goodbye everyone. A pleasure as always. Really, really great. I love these sessions, and I liked that it wasn't public as well, because there's, nice moments. Okay, take care everyone. See you around on Discord, elsewhere. Lots of love. Bye. And I've got to stop the stream on here. Wait a minute. Where is it gone?